Hello, good evening and welcome back to In The Know, the live and interactive Cheltenham preview and review show here, brought to you by The Racing Post and Coral. My name is Ross Brierley and we are 50% of the way through the Cheltenham Festival 2021, and what a day it's been. We've seen some fantastic jockeyship, we've seen some stars in the making, and we've seen a cracking champion chase as well to boot, and we had a few winners in the studio on last night's show, so everyone is in a slightly better mood. We're looking ahead to Thursday's racing very shortly, and possibly the hardest race of the entire week. So if you find one winner on Thursday's card, you'll be doing very well indeed. But once again, I'm joined by three esteemed gentlemen who will be with me all week. To my left, it's Mr. Paul Kealy, who fancied the Grand Annual winner in December, went off him in March, but luckily had already placed the bet.
Yeah, he had no chance today whatsoever, did he? This guy, it's quite weird, isn't it? I mean, I backed two horses anti-post for the race. They finished first and second, and I'd completely gone off them by the end of the day. And amazing. It's one of those, isn't it? That, you know, you can be so badly wrong and make money. You can't feel much better than that, can you?
So, I mean, if you're looking 3 months ahead, yeah, it's nice to have a bet you've forgotten about.
Well, you know, I mean, he was so well handicapped, so obviously a 2-miler, and when he won that race at Cheltenham in December, he was, he just November, I think it was, he just bolted up, didn't he? And I thought, he's going to win, but then they ran him again, and he won, and he went further up the handicap, and then he ran him and he got thumped and looked knackered at Warwick, and I thought, well, that's it. There you go, comes back, bit of spring ground.
And next year we'll be in the champion chase by the looks of that.
Yeah, well, a bit of a brick wall in there for him, though, isn't there, in the shape of Shishkin?
Absolutely. A cracking race in the Grand Annual. Tom Segal joined us once again from his living room, and some people love it, some people hate it. You love the cross country, and Tiger Roll, one of the headline makers today, Tom.
Undoubtedly the headline maker for me. What a horse he is, Ross. Just an absolute phenomenon. He did it again. Just such a shame he's not in the National. I don't care what anyone says. That is the biggest faux pas in racing. One of the biggest faux pas in racing history, taking him out of then. I mean, how ridiculous can you be?
Well, I mean, he's won by 18 lengths today, Tom. So he was clearly very badly handicapped in the.
I thought they literally taken him out because they knew he wasn't the horse he was, because you just can't be that stupid, can you? So I just assumed he couldn't win. I was opposing.
Don't you think it's such a shame? That's such a shame for horse racing. We got a horse that can make history.
Yeah.
Their spitefully has taken him out of it. I think it's really annoying. I spoke
to James Knight, Tom, and he said that he'd be around 9-2, 5-1 now for the National after that today, based on his handicap rating, etc. And if you think he missed the chance last year because of the pandemic,
it'd literally be all the talk, wouldn't it?
And it would be so good for the sport, wouldn't it? It's just like, sometimes sport's bigger than the personalities involved. I hope they're sitting there now, sitting at home, having their whatever they're doing, thinking we've made a mess of this, because they have. It's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Just the 18 lengths between Tiger Roll and Easy's Land today. And as you've just seen, Simon Clare from Coral once again. And again, I mean, the Coral Cup, huge 26-runner handicap, and possibly ride of the day in that race, Richard Condon.
Fantastic, wasn't it? I mean, trained by a trainer who's not famed for his horse racing exploits. He's a very greyhound trainer. But, I mean, the Coral Cup's a race, obviously, I've been involved in it. I think we've sponsored the Cheltenham since '74. I think the Coral Cup was a new race in the early 90s. I'm not sure I've seen a winner of the Coral Cup that easy. I'm trying to remember, and generally it's a finish with a 6 or 7 crossing the line together. So it was an extraordinary performance, really, from the front. And it was one of the bright points for the bookmakers. I mean, obviously, I should mention.
Come on, Ross,
Ross tipped this up. We should remind everybody.
I bigged myself up once yesterday. I'm still a bit embarrassed about getting overexcited after a winner early.
But you can't tip a 33-1 winner and back a 31 without being very thrilled. But I mean, the shape of the race, not dissimilar to yesterday. Bob Ollinger, favourite, fancied, won the first. Monkfish was actually shortened into 4s on from 2 to 5. Because so many people were wrapping up in multiples, etc. Got the respite with Heaven Help Us, then put the kettle on better than yesterday when Honeysuckle won, but still she was popular, second in to Shackleford.
Well, again, I mean, the champion chase looks an upset, but the second favourites beat the third favourites beat the favourites.
Exactly. So from a betting point of view, it wasn't a great result. And then Tiger Roll, popular. Sky Pirates, we got away with a bit, and then Sir Gerhard wins the last second favourite. So, it wasn't a great day for bookies, and I think plenty of people, present company included, had a better day today.
Absolutely. This is live and interactive again, so do get your questions, your thoughts and your feelings in. We've got one here from Keith Reid, social comment. I'm back to put the kettle on after watching Henry de Bromhead on your preview show a while ago. I've also had it with A Plus Tard. If that wins, then no work for me on Monday. There we go, yeah. Normally you'd be able to go out and celebrate for the weekend, but it'll be a home celebration, I think, for that one. But yeah, Henry de Bromhead, Rachel... Sorry, Tom?
Unlucky, Keith. You've got to stay at home for this one. There's no celebrating for you, pal.
Don't fancy that then, no. There'll be no work for me on Monday because I'm on holiday, and if I don't have any winners the next 2 days, it might be another reason too. So let's hope we get better on the tipping front. But yeah, he's got a big chance, A Plus Tard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Henry de Bromhead, fantastic form. Obviously, Bob Ollinger, I've rarely seen a horse of his profile pull so hard, travel into the lead, hurdle fluently, and win, barely breaking a sweat.
Yeah, he's got a huge amount of ability, isn't it? And it's where you go with him.
Yeah.
You could go anywhere.
He clearly stays very well, doesn't he? You go chasing, he'd run in the marsh. He could stay and run in the champion hurdle. But obviously they've got Honeysuckle, who stays very well and could jump a fence and could win a Gold Cup like Dol Run if that's what they wanted to do. They won't, but you think that was extremely unlikely. But they're just some very, very good horses in the de Bromhead stable now.
Absolutely, and he's got A Plus Tard, he's got Envoy RN now, of course. He's got various other bits and bobs as well that might have a chance. Quite fancy he's in the Mayor's Novice tomorrow at quite a decent price. So he's got a really good a couple of days coming up for Henry de Bromhead. And like I said today, the other thing I want to mention again, we talked about it a few times today, Simon and Paul in the office. But apart from Bob Ollinger, obviously, who couldn't have run at the festival, but Monkfish ran at the festival last year. Heaven Help Us ran at the festival last year. Put the Kettle on. Tiger Roll. Sky Pirate didn't run last year, but he'd run in the year before in the Kim Muir of all races. So Cheltenham horses are winning Cheltenham races.
Absolutely, and yesterday, obviously, appreciate it. Honestly, I mean, it's just been I think it's definitely well worth a look, isn't it? Just horses who've run this meeting and Cheltenham well, and they come back time and time again. There's plenty more of them over the next couple of days, so we'll try and single a few of them out in the show.
You'd expect that though, gents, wouldn't you? It's the biggest meeting of the lot, don't you think? Wouldn't you expect all the horses to have run at Cheltenham, really?
But I mean, we had an odds-on shot in the Champion Chase, Tom, who'd never been to the track, for example. So there's always an angle. There's the occasional race where you can find an angle.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I get it. It's just that I always think that people go on about Cheltenham. Well, I'd expect all Cheltenham horses to have run at Cheltenham. That's the best 4 days racing of the year, And if they've run well, they're going to come back, aren't they? So it is an angle, of course it is, because it's a different type of race to the ones they've normally run in. But I think we sometimes get carried away with it, personally.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how they go tomorrow. Another social comment has come in. Again, get in touch, please. Off spinners in a hurry. What does Paul Kealy think about Paul Downend's ride on Kilcrut? Yeah, I mean, there's two ways you can look at those rides, isn't there? You can praise the winner or...
there is always... it is probably correct that the rider of the winner shouldn't get as much praise and the riders of those behind should get a bit of stick because... if you get an easy lead like that has been given to you. And that's basically what happened. Rachel Blackwood just sat in front, went her own pace, perfectly happy. Kilcrut too far off the side. Went past the post. I thought, best or second, best jockey first. That's what I thought myself at the time. I don't like criticising jockeys too much because we all make mistakes and, they're riding, half a tonne of horse flesh at 30 mile an hour on an empty stomach most of the time. They're going to make more mistakes than we are, and you got to get on with it. That's part and parcel of the game.
Absolutely. Just to mention, we've got horses like Kilcrut and Sir Gerhard. We were talking about Cheltenham Form coming back next year. In terms of market movers for future races, few impactful performances today.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's been a mark of 2 days actually that all the Grade 1 races, the big races, have been won by horses. Are going to be so exciting to follow in future years. Whether it's Honeysuckle, Appreciate It, Shishkin, again today, Sir Gerhard.
Yeah, the problem with that is they're all in the
Monkfish.
They're all the same
three stables, aren't they?
They're going to be avoiding each other for an entire season.
They're not going to be running against each other, are they?
But Monkfish has got to go into the Gold Cup and face the Gold Cup horses. We've got a good Gold Cup division. But just to pick out a few, Sir Gerhard and Kilcrut are both 5-1 joint favourite for the Supreme. Kilcrut is also 5-1 for the Ballymore. Put the Kettle on is 8-1 for the Champ Chase behind Shishkin at 6-4. Tiger Roll 16-1 for next year's Grand National. Okay, I'll move on. Won't be entered. Yeah. But no, so I think you're right. It's a shame that so many of these good horses are concentrated into, a couple of big stables. But I think it's still better than, say, 40-1 Rags winning, and it's obviously a good result for the bookies, but actually doesn't bode well for the future.
My theory is that Tiger All's going to win the bowl at Aintree, never mind the National. They'll go for a Grade 1 instead. Why not? But just a quick word, by the way, before we move on, Simon, about the Coral Office.
Yes, failed to finish. Actually, it's because of the better ground. Actually, most horses have been finishing the races, which is fine. But we had 12 today money back offers on the failed to finish offer. High profile horses: Sporting John, Eclat de Rire, Blue Sauri, and Balco de Flow, all quite well backed. Unseated or fell, so the money's back is being paid back on those. And our Racing Super Series, 2,265 entries to this free-to-play game, where you have 7 races, you've got to find the placed horses in. You have one selection each. 2,265 won, and they all won £11 and 4 pence. So not a huge dividend, but a lot of winners, which I think is better to spread the wealth.
Spread the wealth. Si, do I get my money back on Botax Haas that was pulled up?
Yes, you would. Money back is a free bet.
Even if I backed it like 3 months ago?
Maybe not. No. I think maybe a day of race offer.
Not so good.
But Simon will personally send you £11, Tom, so that's all right. Let's move on as we look towards tomorrow's racing. Then, as we say, it doesn't get any easier with Thursday's cards. Traditionally, one of the toughest races, toughest days of the week, and we've got some of the best races as well. Obviously, we've got a fantastic Ryanair, we've got an incredible Stayers hurdle as well, and handicaps aplenty. But we kick off with one of the warmest Marsh Novice chases we've seen in quite a few years, but one of the biggest names and one of the shortest prices. A bit like the Champion Chase today, it looks a red-hot race, but the market is all about one horse, and that, of course, is Envoy Allen at 1-2 here. 9-1 is Chantry House and Chatham Street Lad. 10-1 is Shan Blue. It's 18-1 Fusel Raffles, 20-1 Blackbow, 22-1 Darva Star, and the very quirky but talented Asturian Falange is a 25-1 outsider of the lot. Like many races this week, Paul, this is chock full of stories. Yeah,
it is. I mean, the main story is we've got another red-hot favourite who's already going for a hat-trick at the Cheltenham Festival in all novice races. Is unbeaten, has moved yards from Gordon Elliott to Henry de Bromhead. And everybody thinks it's an absolute certainty. One of these days, I'm going to get one of these favourites right at the festival, because I've opposed Appreciate It, I've opposed Honeysuckle. I thought Shack and Bassois was a good thing. I thought Contestista was a good thing. So I've got them all wrong, but I'm jumping in both feet again. I'm getting Envoy Allen beat. Ooh. Now, most people think I'm absolutely bonkers, but when I was looking at this race anti-post, I just thought it's quite simple. Shan Blue's a terrific each-way bet. Simply because the race is going to fall apart. Yeah. But now, when I look at it, I actually look at it and think this is the deepest of all the novice chases. These are really good horses. One of the complete outsiders is Darva Star, who ran Honeysuckle to half a length in an Irish Champion hurl just last year. Hasn't really taken off over fences, but wants good ground, and really does stay the trip as well of 2.5 miles. So he's a player. Chatham Street Lad won a handicap at Cheltenham by 15 lengths. Grade 3 handicap by 15 lengths, absolutely sluiced up, and has had all his form on soft ground this year, but had 2 absolutely standout performances of his hurdles career, came on much better going, so he could be an even better horse now. And for me, Envoy Allen has literally had 3 plods around a muddy field in novice chases so far. Not his fault that horses have avoided him. He's won 2 Grade 1s, right? But he hasn't beaten, other than Asturian Falange, who fell at the foot at first, he hasn't beaten a Grade 2 horse, let alone a Grade 1 horse, really. Fee Du Dairy, that was second to him last time, only beaten 3.5 lengths, 44 lengths behind Monkfish next time. Assembly,
that runs in handicap company.
Assembly, who was second to him the time before, was 11-1 that day. It was 22-1 and 66-1 in other races afterwards. We're not. Okay, he's beaten them. He's won easily, but he hasn't been stretched and he hasn't really been asked. So he's going in after a year without having had a race, and you can get any horse can get caught out like that. He came off the bridle last year. He went out to 3-1 in running last year, as it looked like he was briefly in trouble. This is much faster ground, which he's kept away from the from the Dublin Racing Festival specifically to stay away from fast ground, probably with a view to coming here rather than an actual problem with it, I'd admit. But to me, there's enough negatives and a good field, and Chamblou jumps and travels like a 2-miler and is not going to take any prisoners on a course that really suits front runners.
And of course, 8 runners and odds-on shots. We've got a bookie in the corner who's shaking with those each-way terms. So it's one of those races. The question, Tom, with Envoy Allen is not what he's done over fences, of course. It's what he could do. But you could say the same thing for a few. You know, Chamblou, as you said, Paul mentioned, Chatham Street Lads got a bit more to come. Chantry House, it is a warm and open race. Again, Envoy Allen, the most likely winner, but this has got a lovely each-way shape to it.
It's got a good each-way shape to it. I'm definitely not anywhere near as against Envoy Allen as Kealy is there. It's a clear dichotomy, isn't it, between the Irish, who think he's the second coming, and the form book guys who's saying, who's he ever beaten? You know, because even if you go through his novice hurdle form, it wasn't the greatest Ballymore you've ever seen in your life. The bumpery one was pretty good. It had Abacadabras in it, and it had a few others in there.
Yeah, Time
Hill. But it's not the hurdle form isn't out of this world brilliant, but there is clearly something about him that has got anyone that's got anything to do with him thinking that he's totally different from most horses. Now, like Keels, I can't bet on sentiment and stuff like that. I think he'll probably win, but I think, as you say, the race has got a nice shape to it for each way punters. I've had a few quid on Dava Star, the one Keels mentioned. I was on him for the Arkle actually, and I thought after I'd seen Shishkin win, I quickly changed and had a few quid on him for this. Simply because I think he wants 2.5 miles and good ground. He was rubbish at the WSR Dublin Racing Festival. Didn't jump well at all, but the ground was all wrong. As you say, he's 33 to 1. I think the race will suit him. Whether he gets too far back with Chamblou going off on front, I don't know. But I agree with Keels. I think it's a good race to have an each way bet in, because even if Envoy Allen wins, you're going to win a few quid by backing anything else in the race.
I must admit, I've backed Chamblou and Chatham Street Lad each way, and I didn't want to see Dava Star in the race. He's the wrong price for his ability, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, that honeysuckle form does look big, and the champion hurdle last year has been given a boost as well.
Yeah.
Sounds like you need a third bet, Paul, if you don't mind me saying so.
Yeah. Well, and personally, I've backed.
That'll be the fewest bets I've had in the race this week so far.
No. Well, and I've backed Chantry House each way, who had a stone to find in last year's Supreme behind Shishkin and Abacadabra, and this year, apart from that poor run where a lot of Hendo's horses didn't run particularly well, the Ascot figure for that. I mean, the speed that horse showed. So this is a fantastic betting race. If people come off with a few each way bets tomorrow against the favourite, they're going to be laughing.
They are, and I think if you look at the Shishkin's race, obviously he won. There was only 5 runners, wasn't it? There was only 2 places for Monkfish today. So, you either back the favourite. It was quite hard to have a bet against him. Whereas at least this, from a turnover point of view, would be healthy, because there'll be plenty of people willing to have the each way bet, knowing they've got 2 places to play with. I mean, loads of people played that Novice Chase treble. Shishkin, Monkfish, all going on to Envoy Allen. So I think most bookmakers will be staring at liabilities from the first 2 days. We've seen that these favourites have been back. Monkfish went off 4s on, having been 2 to 5. I think Envoy Allen could go off 3s on. He has never been beaten. I think it's great to hear the reasons why you take him on, but he's one of those horses that a lot of people would be happy to.
I'm pretty sure when we were doing this race last week, he was about 10 to 11.
Yeah,
so it's a stronger race than we were expecting, yet he's significantly shorter.
Which is, I think, just the way the meeting's gone.
Yeah.
These horses have just been winning, haven't they? I appreciate just won, and Shishkin just won. So I think, but that's why the days are different. And tomorrow may not be the day. They may break the mould. It may be the shock in the first race, and Fusel Raffles started joint favourite for last year's Christmas hurdle, for example.
It's a proper good ground horse.
Yes, absolutely. And you can sort of make little bits of... even Asterion Fallon, you're going to take the mick out of it. Paul Town in his blog today says they just gave him a run round last time to get his confidence back. He likes me. He started favourite for the Ballymore last year?
For the
Supreme.
He was carnage. You remember.
He can't jump for it.
When I said earlier on, he makes Goshen look like Karl Marx, doesn't he?
Yes. He's a head case.
Out to the right.
But every single one, even Blackbow's been back today. All of them have a reason why you could
They've all got ability.
So I think it's a good
Asterion
race.
Fallon's ran well last time at Leopardstown, but that course is on the outside, and the Chase course at Cheltenham is on the inside, and he's got an awful lot of space to go out to his right. So
it's a great start to the day.
It is. It's an absolute corker of a race. So any of them can win. So what are we tipping? What would you back, Paul?
I'd back Shamblu and Chatham Street Lad each way.
Okay, Tom?
I think Envoy Allen will win with his head in his chest, but I have backed Darva Star.
Okay, and I'm hoping I want Chantry House to storm up the hill for Nicky Henderson. Simon?
Shambler, I mean, I think Dan Skelton's horse are running so well. Nuba Negra, arguably maybe a bit unlucky in the champion chase, but I think he's going to win. I think he might have a couple of winners the next couple of days, so I'll be cheering on Shambler.
Chambly, yeah, absolutely. For the Skelton team, that's the mark. We could probably talk about that for an hour, but we've got 6 more races to get in here. So let's move on to a much easier race, the Pertemps. Here we've got the ever interesting 3-mile handicap hurdle. We're watching replays back for horses who are running on into a place is absolutely necessary for this, and we haven't got one of those though at the top of the betting. We've got Imperial Alcazar, who won very nicely in a qualifier at 5-1. The Boss's Oscar is 11-2. Champagne Platinum 6 Milliner 9-1. 10-1 Come On Teddy. 12-1 Mrs Milner. 16-1 Brinkley, and 18-1 Bar Those. Tom, we'll come to you first for this race. Over the past few years, you basically just wanted to back the eye catcher at Leopardstown, and the Boss's Oscar has been a talking horse for weeks, and he comes out of that race. But as ever, this is open on paper.
Yeah, I like the jockey. I like Jordan, what's his face, who rides Gainford, who rides thing. But I think the fact that they're putting him on makes you think that they think he's a bit, he's not well handicapped. I mean, that's you wouldn't put him. You'd put Jack Kennedy on if you thought you still had your £7 in hand, wouldn't you? I mean, my guess is that they think he's got plenty of weight on what he's done. I think he has too. I like the fact, I mean, going back to Sky Pirate earlier, I like the fact that horses that have been openly campaigned win these races. It's much better for me and for anyone who's studying form when these horses come out and win rather than the one that have been hiding their lights away somewhere. So I like Imperial Alcazar. I thought he was really impressive at Warwick. The only problem you've got with him is that all his form's on soft ground. I don't see it being an issue. I don't think the ground's that fast anyway. I mean, it's just good ground, isn't it? So I think he'll be fine. If you can't run on that, you can't run on anything, in my opinion. So I like Imperial Alcazar. I think me and Keels are going to sing from the same hymn sheet on a really big outsider that we both like, and that's Charlie Longston's mare down the bottom, Storm Goddess. She was 4th. It was actually the only race meeting I've been to this year. I was allowed to go to the Cheltenham meeting in November. I was a guest of one of the guys who was sponsoring a race there, and we went there and we watched that race with the connections to the winner. But Storm Goddess came from last, turning for home, and finished 4th. She then went on to Kempton and she beat You'll Never Walk Alone and Aura Bill. Is it Never Walk Alone? No, You'll Never. You only know that one. Yeah. I was nearly right, wasn't I? Good effort. It was a good effort, and we were 3 days in after all.
You're about 35, You'll Never Work Alone.
Exactly. You remember that? Yeah. I would be getting the jab when You Never Walk Alone ran, that's for sure. He beat them. That horse at Kim Bailey's came out to finish 4th in the Grade 1 or the Grade 2 at Ascot, didn't he? He ran really well in the long walk. Bill won the Lanzarote. I think the form's pretty decent. He goes well for the claimer. 3 miles on good ground off a strong pace is what she wants. I just thought at around 33-40 she'd run really well.
Yeah, and I was talking to you earlier, Paul, and you said, I think I found one in the Pertemps.
Yeah, I was absolutely livid when I looked at Tom. That's Tom's business. I didn't know he knew the owners and been racing the bloody owners. That's unfair.
But no,
I mean, look, she's, she can't have the ground fast enough. She literally hasn't run since that St Kempton race, other than running in a jumper's bumper the other day, which is just, a sighter. Give yourself a gallop. But her form's really, that form is really good. The 4th at Cheltenham was when she wasn't ridden by Tom Buckley, who's won 3 of his 4 starts on her and is back on taking £5 off. And obviously it was ridden by a good jockey, Brian Hughes, but got cut off on the bend and the final bend as well. Because I thought, I was watching it, I thought this is going really well. How come it only finishes 4th? And then when you see the picture again, she's still nearly last as they've straightened up, and she's come right through on the inside, which is normally where they don't finish as well. I think she's a player. I like the Warwick form. I am slightly worried about the ground. I don't think Come On Teddy should be twice the price of Imperial Alcazar, because I think he got chopped up on the bend.
Well, he's got
was
the
third,
course
and he's £8 better off, and he has course form. And I don't know why. I've got this sneaky feeling that Copperhead's going to run a big race at a big price. I've chucked a couple of quid each way on him just for the sake of it. But Cheltenham.
Every Tizard horse has run well this week as
Yes,
well.
they're running well. I mean, Cheltenham is a horse. I do get the scattergun out a little bit, just small plays on horses at big prices that I think that can run well.
Yeah, absolutely. It is that sort of race. It is wide open. Like I said, Imperial Alcazar. Well, the horses, I thought Milliner's got to go in the hat. I apologise. Storm Arising, I thought was a little bit interesting.
I liked it, Ross. I liked it.
Got nothing, Tom. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Silence. But I thought quite interesting.
Yeah, but it's Milliner. I thought you just got the horse's name wrong when you were talking about Mrs.
You
Milner.
No.
Milner. I thought he'd misnamed the horse. I thought he was on about Mrs. Milner, and it just wrong.
Milner's snuck in at the bottom. It's the bottom way it got in. It's been heavily backed. It's probably one of the best backs in the last few hours. 7-1, I think it is now. It's only ever run 5 times. Obviously, the Rachel Blackmore, Henry de Bromhead combination. Third in a qualifier only on the 1st of March. I mean, it's literally sort of snuck in, literally unconsidered.
I mean, again, those Leopardstown and Punchestown qualifiers have been a rich source over the past few years.
Yeah.
So Miller's going to have a chance. And I thought the race at Storm Arising beat Ask Dillon as well was a decent figure as well. And that brings those horses into it. Yeah. So it is, as ever, absolutely wide open. The Potemps, Paul?
Yeah, Storm Goddess each way with the extra places. What are you, 6 places on this?
5 places.
It'll
finish 6 now. It will finish 6.
Yeah. But if it finishes 6th, they'll give you 11 quid. So it balances
out. You get 11 quid. Free entry in the Racing Super Series. Which
Tom?
Starts on this race, I might point out. Yeah.
Tom?
I'm with Kealy Storm Goddess. I do think Imperial Alcazar's got a chance. I think that Milliner is very interesting. But these ones that sneak in when no one's noticing, they always start too short. Yeah. Another late non-runner as well. I know Southfield Harvest just came out a minute ago, so maybe you won't be getting 6 places skills. You'll end up with 3 if Simon's got it.
It's so cruel.
And with that slides on your reputation, Simon.
All right, just referring back to that form of horses who've always run well at the festival. Spirit of the Games was 6th in the plate last year on soft ground off a mark of 149. He was 3rd in the plate behind Cyril de Luc on better ground 2 years ago off 147, and was 5th in the county behind Mahayed in 2018. Always runs well at the festival. He's off 141, well handicapped, ran well last time out. He's a decent price, 18-1, and the Skelton team are in great form. And I think those sort of horses just go well in these kind of races. So he's for me. Spirit of the Games.
He's a place pot banker, isn't he?
Yes.
Spirit of the Games, absolutely. And I'll go for that Ask Dillon and Storm Arising form. But again, it is an incredibly difficult race, as you can see on paper. That's the Potemps there. Then on to, I mean, if it wasn't, for such a fantastic week, the Ryanair could well be race of the whole festival, even race of the day on Thursday. It's an absolute corker, the Ryanair. It is, of course, a Grade 1 race. Over the past sort of 10 years, I think it's got a bit of a crabbing, but we've seen some very nice winners, and we've got a lovely lineup this season as well, headed by Allaho in at 9-2. Min is 5-1. Imperial Aura is 7-1 with Fakir du Derry. It is 15-2 Melon, 9-1 Mr. Fisher. It is 10-1 St Calvados. But as I said, it is such a warm race. Sam Crow's in there as well. Dashel Drasher, Real Steel, Chris's Dream, Kalashnikov, Tornado Flyer, and Fanion Destroval even has good form at the track. This is absolutely red hot, Paul.
Yeah, it is, and it's one of those where you don't really need to talk about Cheltenham form, do you? Because I mean, there's at least 5 in the race. There's been at least 5 in the race that have been in the frame at least twice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an incredibly good race. I thought all along that Allaho's the wrong favourite. I don't think the figure he put up was anywhere near good enough to make him favourite when beating Ellie May last time. I think lots of people keep telling me that he's a 2.5 mile horse, and I just thought he was a young horse, been trying over 3 miles, wasn't strong enough. I don't think he's quick enough, and I don't think he'll jump well enough either.
I hope you're wrong, Paul.
Min seems to have had his problems. I mean, Hello was a horse I really wanted to follow at the start of the season, despite the fact he won last time. He's disappointed me. I mean, you could go on and on and on. I backed Mr. Fisher at a big price a few weeks ago. And I just thought, this is an absolutely amazing price. And I looked at the field this morning when the deck came in, and I thought, I'm just totally daunted by this race. It is an incredible race. But Mr. Fisher, he ran a career best last time out, over course and distance in the Peterborough Chase. It was moved from Huntingdon, beat Kalashnikov, giving him £3. Kalashnikov's a good horse. We finished 3rd in the Denman Chase afterwards. Clondor Castle was 3rd in the Peterborough, hacked up in that good handicap chase at Kempton. So that form is really, really strong, and Mr. Fisher loves it here. It was 3rd to Sam Crown Mellon last year. on soft ground that the trainer is absolutely adamant that he doesn't want. And of course, he's 2 years younger than that pair as well. So, I still think he will run very, very well. But you can literally run well and finish 7th in this race. And that's just how scarily competitive it is.
It is. It's an absolute corker, Tom. Like I said, Mr. Fisher, you start to go down the field. I was going down the betting, and I kind of got to Sam Crow, and I thought Sam Crow is sort of 7th, 8th in the betting, and last year's Marsh winner, and a couple of years ago was thought to be the second coming, and that shows how deep this contest is.
Best race of the festival by far, this one, I think. I think it's just a cracker. You can make a case for all of them. You really can. I'm a fan of it. I'm even a fan of Tornado Flyer a bit. I keep thinking he'll run well. Not sure he'll be quite good enough for this, but they've all shown top class form in really good races, and I just think it's the best race of the festival. Trying to find the winners really hard. A lot will depend. We saw the Champion Chase today, where a lot of it depended on jumping and tactics and good rides and stuff like that. I think that's going to be the case in this one. I think Imperial Aura might be the key to it. If he can get out in front and jump like he did when he won the Handicap last year, I think he's got a really good chance, actually. I just think he suits the race best. But he's going to have Mellon up there with him, I think, charging along beside him. And there isn't a better jumper, I don't think, in training than Mellon. I think he's an absolute wonderful jumper. People call him names. And he doesn't win very often, but he's been 4th at the Cheltenham Festival 4 times. Now, if he wants Cheltenham form, he's got it.
Second. He's been second 4 times. Yeah, that's right.
You got your 4 times
Right.
mixed up.
He's second 4
times.
He's been needing a neck in a champion hurdle, and he was in front before and after the line in the Marsh last year. I think he's going to run really well. I think the ground's come in his favour. I think he's the best of the Willie Mullins lot. I think Alaho. He's a bit like Chacun Poursoir for me. He looks brilliant, and then he doesn't. Do you know what I mean? Right at the end, he just doesn't. And he's got a tongue tie on for the first time tomorrow. This is a really deep race. I wonder I just want to see him run up the hill, and I'm not sure he's ever going to do it. So,
Paul Town in his blog said he had the pick of the 3. In his blog, he said he actually chose Min over Mellon and Alaho, which is quite interesting.
You probably would, though, wouldn't you? I would if
you'd
won
the race last year. Yeah, it's hard to get off the champion, isn't it?
Highest rated horse in the race. I'm with you, Tom. I think that if Rachel Blackwell wasn't riding Alaho, he'd drift. But she's been in such terrific form that might not happen. But I think he would take a walk otherwise.
Can I? If everyone's against him, can I talk up Alaho for a second? I think
of course you can. Yeah.
I mean, this horse. I think the main thing with Alaho is he's been a year behind the races he's been running in. He's a 5-year-old in the Albert Bartlett, and he travelled like the best horse in the race. Didn't get home. He's a 6-year-old last year in the RSA. He jumped the final. Well, I say he jumped the final fence. He walked through the final fence, and he was still in front over 3 miles when those two had gone ding dong all the way. And last time out, again, he was 4th before that, over 3 miles behind Aplutard. He travelled like the best horse in the race. I think this is his year. He's a 7-year-old. He's ready to peak. And, Ellie May could come out and win the Mayor's Chase by half the track on Friday. And I think Alaho will be up there. And this is his year. I think 3 miles just stretches him. So I'm with Alaho.
I get it. I get your idea entirely. It's just the fact that he hasn't finished off a race really strongly yet that puts me. I don't like them. I don't know why I don't like them, because sometimes they can win through sheer class.
I think his jumping was going to struggle in this field at this pace.
I agree. Sometimes he does. He takes off a stride or two early on, doesn't
and that, I do think he will struggle there. I also think that with 14 runners in the race. Remember the race Riverside Theatre one of this years ago. Yeah. This will be one of those races that will bottom a lot of horses, because it's going to be a real hard win, whatever wins it. Yeah,
and that was one of the most incredible races I've ever seen. 3 wide, barely jumped a fence and got up to score. So another horse. We haven't mentioned Fakir Duderis, who's won Grade 1. We came over 2.5 miles.
Second to put the kettle on in the Arkle. And he's been the best back to the 2 horses best back to the last few hours. Sam Crow, which is interesting because the money came from him last year for the Marsh when he went in at a pretty decent price, and Fakir Duder, which I think is obviously tying with that put the kettle on form. And so we've now managed to mention them all. And it is to Tom's, I think this is the race of the festival. I think the turnover is going to be sensational. And
7
probably the best ever
running as well.
What are we? We are 4 places, which I think is very reasonable.
But we haven't even mentioned St Calvados.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
He was second in the race last year, splitting Min and Aplutard. Aplutard's now second favourite for the Gold Cup. About 30 lengths behind was Frodon, who won the King George.
Yeah.
We haven't even
Dash or
mentioned him.
Drasher?
Dash or Drasher. His was the highest RPR coming into this race, 171 last time out. So it's an incredible race. But
we go forever.
If you tune us in after for this, where we'll be doing a whole hour on the Ryanair Chase for us here. But selections, Paul.
I've forgotten now. Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Fisher for
just
Paul.
from about 8 others.
Tom.
Well, I backed Mellon a long time ago. I'm sort of getting a bit windy with him now. I think the value might lie with maybe St. Calvados now. And we have another one we haven't mentioned, Chris's Dream, who I think's a really good horse at 2.5 miles. Clearly didn't stay in the Gold Cup last time. I don't know. You can make a case for all of them. It's really... some races you just want to watch, and this is what I'll obviously have loads of bets too, but this is just a brilliant race.
Okay, and I'll go Allaho and Simon.
I think Mellon. I'd love to. I think for Brian Cooper as well, who's had a sort of tough few years. I think if he was to win on Mellon, it'd be great for Mellon, it'd be good for Brian Cooper. That'd be a good story.
Absolutely. Well, the Ryanair then, that's the 2:30, and that's not even the feature race of day 3, of course. That is the 3 mile stayers hurdle here, and one of the most popular horses in training heads the betting in the shape of Paisley Park, who is 2-1 for Emma Lavelle and Aidan Coleman, 11-2 Sire de Burley, 8-1 is Flooring Porter, Vindication and Fury Road. Listener Oscar is 9-1, the 10-1 shot the Storyteller, who's had an insane year, and 14-1 bar those. If the Ryanair's good, Paul, again, every horse I've mentioned there has at least one piece of form in the last 12 months that brings it into it. Exactly,
yeah, it is a really good race. And, the key horse is obviously Paisley Park, who won it 2 years ago. If he's the same horse now as he was 2 years ago, 2-1's a pretty big price. If he's the same horse he was when he just beat Time Hill and just got beat by Time Hill, it's probably a little bit on the skinny side. It hasn't that form doesn't separate him that much from the others. It still makes him the one to beat, but in a field of this size, 2-1, I'm not 100% sure. And and as he's 9, and he had a bad experience there. Sometimes the horses can remember it as well, can't they? He had a bad experience last
Goshen
year.
being one of them, I think.
So I would just. I would just worry a little bit about him. And, you've got a good second favourite, Sire de Burley. He stormed up the hill twice to win the Potemps. I mean, it takes some horse to do that. And obviously, giving weight to the Storyteller in the race last year makes it look very, very good. I've backed a couple. I've backed another one with Cheltenham form. Fury Road was a big price last week because he finished third to Monkfish in the Albert Bartlett ahead of Time Hill. Was a much bigger price, and he hasn't done that much for him this year. He's had one bad run at Leopardstown, which he hates. He's never run well there, and his other 2 runs were fine. A win first time out, and a second last time at Beacon Edge when he was all over the winner, jumping the last and just tied up because he needed it. And
those last 2 were slowly run races, very different from what this is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a worry that that I'm told that the softer the better for him, and it might not be good news. But the other one that I just thought's been missed, but not missed by Coles, to be honest, because I think you're one of the shortest about it, is If the Cap Fits. One of the few Grade 1 3 mile hurdle winners on Good Crowd in the field, because he won the Liverpool hurdle 2 years ago, beating Roxana and Apple's Jade in that photograph. And if you remember, if he hadn't made an absolute howler at the last, he'd have won that race quite easily. He only ran over 3 mile once last season, getting well beat by Paisley Park, but he never ran afterwards. He's been over fences this year, and he's actually run to a reasonable level, showing that he's got all his ability, but he can't jump to save his life. And I'm quite surprised that they kept going on with him, to be honest. But he's now, they've looked at it, Time Hill's come out and thought, right, we're going to go for this. Little worried about Harry Fry's form, because it ain't great. Especially with, Metier was beaten out of sight. But Harry Fry's been out of form for quite a while, and If the Cap Fit has sort of run within that and run well. So I'm going to have a little go at him. The Aintree race that he won was a 15-runner field, and they went a good pace. They will go a good pace here. There's plenty of speed in it. I think it's going to suit him down to the ground at a price.
Yeah, he's not actually run in a double-figure field since.
No, exactly.
He's run in 6 small field races.
Yeah, he doesn't want them, I don't think. Yeah. I think he wants a good run, and you've obviously got little Rocky there.
Flooring Porter as well.
Flooring Porter.
Yep.
There's plenty of pace here.
Yeah.
There's pace.
There is indeed. Paisley Park, though, heads the betting here, Tom. I was having a look. His best 2 RPRs have been on good to soft. So actually the drying of the ground probably suits Paisley Park, but it also suits a few others as well. Yeah,
I'm just with Keels. Brilliant horse, isn't he? If he's the same horse he was 2 years ago, he'll probably win. But this is probably a little bit better race than that one. He's obviously had his issues since. 2-1's not for me. think Flooring Porter is interesting. I know the figures, the times of his races haven't been great, but I just, when you keep winning, it's grade ones by 6 lengths. I think a few weeks ago he was underestimated. The one I like is the one you talked about earlier, Ross, the Storyteller. I think he's taken his form to a different level this year. I think his best Racing Post rating his best ever Racing Post rating was in the Irish Gold Cup last year. If you watch the Flooring Porter race at Leopardstown, he's held up out the back. He goes past them all. He stays really strongly. He's not that far behind Sire de Burley on what we saw last year. Sire de Burley got a brilliant ride, ground-saving ride. The Storyteller sort of had to chop and change a bit. There's nothing between the pair of them, and one's double the price of the other. I can see the Storyteller running really well. I don't think the drying ground will be a problem for him at all. And I just think he's coming here in the form of his life. He's won at the Cheltenham Festival. He's been second at the Cheltenham Festival. He'll do for me.
Yeah, he's run 10 times since Cheltenham last year, and he's won 4 races, including a Grade 1, and finished second in 2 other Grade 1s as well. So he is in spectacular form this year. Throw others into them as well. Sire de Burley obviously beat him. He's a proper Cheltenham horse as well. And the switch, just want to talk about vindication. This switch, we were talking about Gold Cup or Stayers. We haven't seen him over hurdles for a long time, but he's a classy horse.
Yeah, he's a very classy horse. I mean, I always thought he wanted soft ground and a right-handed track. We'll have to see how he goes. I'd imagine he'll probably be up there as well, won't he?
A lot of pace, isn't there?
Yeah, he will be.
Yeah.
He was fourth, of course, behind the conditional over fences last year, but he hasn't been over hurdles for a while. But Kim Bailey's horse is happy-go-lucky, ran a cracker earlier in the week. Yeah. So how's the betting been for this, Simon? Because, again, it's a race where I would say of all the championship races, again, people tend to do it down a little bit. Is this the smallest sort of turnover anti-post for the championship races?
This has been another good race, really. I mean, if you think there was Time Hill and Roxana in the field, up until a week ago, Time Hill came out, Roxana took a different route. So Paisley Park has hardened a bit, but not much. And I think the view, speaking to the traders, to James Knight earlier, he feels that just the Irish domination of the festival so far, with the strong field behind Paisley Park, and for all the doubts that Tom and Paul have articulated here, you can see Paisley Park drifting out tomorrow. I think you could get out to about 3-1, 7-2 potentially, particularly if there's support for others. And the money's come for Fury Road and Beaconedge, which is the same piece of form from last time out. Lisnagar Oscar, interesting enough, sort of suddenly a single figure price, 9-1, extraordinary.
It was a career best speed figure last time out at Haydock, so he could still have a little bit more to come.
So it's not dissimilar to Ryanair, is that actually when you start to unpick each of those horses, Vindication you sort of threw in there into the mix. I mean, I know this is a bit mental, but Bacardi's always turns up at Cheltenham. He's been third in a bumper, third last year to Lisnagar Oscar. Might have won the Stayers Hurdle in 2018 when he fell behind Penn Hill.
Each way double with Mellon.
He's 50-1. I mean, Paul Townend, right? Paul Townend takes the ride because it's Willie Mullins one runner. So again, really good race. I think that the money the last sort of few hours has been Fury Road and Beaconedge. Pace Park, I think, will drift. It's a cracker. It's going to be a good betting race.
It is. We've got a social comment here from someone at home. Ian Cruz. Flooring Porter, nothing will catch it. The way it won the Christmas hurdle at Leopardstown was class. And yeah, I think we've had, I would say, 3, maybe 4 front runners won today. And obviously, heaven help us, careered away. We do switch to a different track, of course, tomorrow, Paul.
We do, but the Leopardstown form hasn't been bad, has it, so
No.
far? So, you certainly can't rule
him out. Paul, your pick for the Stayers?
My pick for the Stayers, I'm still taking a chance on if the cap fits, but I'll back Fury Road as well.
Okay, Tom?
I'm on the Storyteller, Ross.
Okay, the Storyteller. Yeah, I'm he does look a big price at 9-1, and that Potemps form does look rock solid with Sire de Burley. Simon?
I'm going for last year's form, Lisnagar Oscar, and I might chuck a few quid each way on Bacardi's, just for sentimental reasons.
Very well. That's the Stayers at hurdle then. And then we've got some very, very fiendish races to end the card on Thursday. We've still got 3 more to go through, and quite frankly, I'll be happy if I get one in the frame in the last 3. We are on to the plates here for this 340, and the Shunter is 4-1 favourite here. Far Class 6-1, A Wave of the Sea 6-1. Phil there you go. Deduterry is 15-2. Caribbean Boy is 8-1. Sully Dock is 11s. Mr Whittaker 14s, 16-1. Bar those here at Cheltenham Far. The plate, a cracking little race again. Novices have been mopping up in races like this over the past few years. We've got some unexposed types like the likes of Wave of the Sea and Far Class, but it is the Shunter who was entered in every single race this week, and they've chosen to go for this one.
Yeah, well, it's just double shrewd, isn't it? I mean, they really campaigned this horse well. It's won a Greatwood Hurdle, went to Kelso for the Moor Battle the first time it was turned into a handicap with an 80 grand bonus, I think, for winning a race at Cheltenham, and now back over fences, which he seems every bit as good as. With this very talented Jordan Gainford claiming 7 off. If 4-1 is your cup of tea, the horse just keeps winning and running well, and he handles Cheltenham, at least he handles the hurdles course at Cheltenham. We know this, This was the one race that years ago you would just say, why on earth are you backing anything near the front of the market? It's always won by a rag that nobody ever thought of. Last 3 years, 5-1, 9-2, 130. God knows what the shunter's going to go off at. So, you can't tell. I've backed a couple against him. I do like Farclas. I don't know if you remember, he's 7 now, but he won a Triumph Hurdle. He absolutely flew up the hill when he won the Triumph Hurdle 3 years ago, overturning form from Leopardstown. With I think it was Mr. Adjudicator, if I remember correctly. He's had his problems. He's had his time off. He won his first 3 chases on good ground, then had 18 months off. He's come back running 3 really red hot handicap chases from 2 mile 3 to 3 mile. I think run really well in all of them on soft ground. Even though his Triumph was on soft ground, I think he's a good ground horse, and I think he's going to run really, really well. And the other one is, again, just a horse with Cheltenham form. If she had stood up in all her races at Cheltenham, Happy Diva would probably not have been out the first 3. She was lobbing along in 4th when coming down in 2018, Paddy Power Gold Cup at the November meeting. She won it the following year. She fell this season and was in 4th 2 out at a time.
She would have definitely been in the front at the very least.
Yeah, she's just exceptional, and she was second in this race last year and is now £4 lower. She's going to get that toe into the race that she loves. She's just going to sit sort of second rank behind all the leaders, and she's one of those horses. She's a really good jumper, and just every now and again just misses one out. Although it wasn't her fault when she got brought down, but she's just going to be there or thereabouts.
Absolutely, yeah. Happy Diva. Let's have a quick look. What price Happy Diva, Simon?
20, something like that.
So Happy Diva is
16 to 1.
16 to 1 from 20. Nibbled.
See.
Yeah, and of course the Yard have a couple of chances tomorrow in races. We'll get to the Storm Control a little bit later on. But Tom was saying this is a wide open race, but it used to be a one for Rags. But Novices 3 of the last 4 winners, and there are a couple of lurkers here. What did you pick out in the plate?
I thought it was really difficult. I really did. I thought it was. I like Happy Diva. I'm a bit of a contrarian, so I find it really hard to tip horses coming back and doing the same thing over and over again. It's a stupid strategy, I know, because they keep doing it. But I think she'll run well. I quite like Caribbean Boy, simply because I think when he won his Novice Chase, when he won his first race of the season at Newbury, he beat Fiddler on the Roof, who was second in the Crown Advisory. With back in third was Getaway Trump, who won a big handicap last week at Doncaster. That was the only time he's run on good ground. Nicky Henderson seemed to think that the ground would be too quick for him that day, but he's run on heavy ground twice since, and he's not been quite the same. Although he did start odds on to beat Dashel Drasher on his second start and chased Dashel Drasher hard, and then just got tired over the last 2. I think back on good ground we'll see a totally different horse. I was so impressed with him at Newbury. I thought he was undoubtedly a graded class chaser, and I think he's going to run much better. I know Daryl Jacob did a blog the other day saying it was his best chance of the week. I agree with him. I think Caribbean Boy's going to run really, really well. He's a good jumper, and the ground will suit him. But there are loads in there. The shunter, you've got to be scared of the shunter off the markets. I was worried about him on the ground up at Kelso. I thought they would be too quick for him around there, tight track. Didn't bother him at all. Showed loads of pace. Because when he won the Greatwood, he looked for all the world beat. I wonder whether he didn't really like the ground at the Greatwood. I wonder whether the ground was too heavy for him at the start of the season, and now he's just getting the ground he likes. Farclas, I know Keels likes him. I have liked him all my life. I was disappointed with him last time because I thought I just thought he should have won that. Now they might have been the ex-Elliott horses were a bit out of form, so maybe that was the excuse, but coming to the last, I thought he was going to run away from them, and he didn't. So I've got a sort of a thing in my head against him. I might be wrong. I actually thought Away with the Sea would run really well again because I think he likes to step up in trip. But I've been worried about Joseph's horses. I don't think any of them have run that well this week. So at the start of the week, I was quite keen on Phil Dudary, but I've sort of gone off him now, which is probably a good thing because every time we say we've gone off one, they tend to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Again, we were saying that the form study that happened 6, 8, 10 weeks ago is bomb-proof in the studio, but the form study from 48 hours ago.
It's probably always the way. You see, exactly. You get confused and distracted by too much information as you come in. The front four. I mean, it's just because of the way the Irish domination, all Irish, the Shunter, Farclas, Away of the Sea, Phil Dudare, all well back in the last 48 hours. Clearly, we'd be hoping that, like some of the other handicaps this meeting, this will go the way of the bookies. An interesting one from Anthony Honeyballs. Yard been quite well back today. Sully, Doc R, who hasn't been seen out since November, loves better ground. Happy Diva's been quite well backed. They're probably the two of the better backed against the front four.
There's a reason for that. It's just called Sully Doc, isn't it? The AA is something to do with the name, something to do with how they bred or something in France.
Is it really?
Yeah, I did. There's a few of them. There were loads in France where you can have a whole race and they've all got AA.
Sully Doc.
Yeah, I mean, I only found out last time
So
it
does the
ran.
commentator say it?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
it doesn't.
Sully Doc.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a thoroughbroad Arabian mix, isn't it?
something like that.
Yeah.
You learn something every day.
Yeah. Well, I did learn about it last time I saw it run.
Unless it gets beat on the line, is it Sully Doc? There you go. So,
You're flying. A couple of winners and you're flying.
just takes me 48 hours, mate, to warm up. I'll be. Don't worry, tomorrow I'll be exhausted. Tom, the pick for the plate?
Caribbean Boy for me.
Caribbean Boy. Paul?
I'm going to go Happy Diva each way.
Okay, and I'll go Farclas. I think it was. I know exactly what you mean, Tom, but I think the drop back in a furlong and the better ground could make the difference for Farclas. Although we will see at the bottom of that hill. Simon.
Well, again, last year's form. Mr. Whittaker, bit of money for him earlier in the week. Third last year for 152 is running off 150. Old Grangewood always turns up. Fourth last year for 147, running off 146. Skeleton team in red hot form. I think he fancied it to run a big race. So I'm ignoring all these fancy Irish horses and going with a couple of English horses who've run the race well last year.
Absolutely. Right, we've got 10 minutes and 2 races to get through here. The Mares Novices Hurdle, Mullins win it. Move on. No, it is a wide open contest this year for this Mares Novices Hurdle. Royal Kahala 11-2, Hookup 11-2, 6-1 Rosie's Hollow, 13-2 Glens of Antrim, 7-1 Galois, 8-1 Tell Me Something Girl, 12-1 Sky Ace, and 12-1 Bigger the Rest. Again, this is an absolutely red hot renewal of the Dawn Run Novices Hurdle. So Paul, again, as time is of the essence, what are you playing?
I've got to play Hookup. I mean, she was fourth to Appreciate It at 50-1 at the Leopardstown race last time, and pretty much kicked virtually every hurdle out of the ground as well. Appreciate It's come out and smashed up the whole field in a Supreme. Ballyadam, who was second there, ended up finishing second, but would have been third to Blue Lord, who was third at Leopardstown. The 6, Galloping Des Champs, been smashed off the boards today for the Martin Pipes, more than halved in price. It's obviously a piece of red hot form, and this is a mare's race. I think she's got a great chance. I did some previews the other day. There was a lot of love for Tell Me Something Girl, as the other horse has been absolutely smashed this afternoon in this race. She probably has a bit more to find, but she's come down a lot, and obviously the Rachel Blackmore angle with that as well, I suppose. But I mean, Hookup for me, I think she stands out on that run.
Absolutely, yeah. And before that, she was second to Royal Kahala, but that was 2 mile 2, and she jumped the last in front, and the drop back a little bit might well make the difference there. Tom, what did you make of this Novices Hurdle?
Not much. I couldn't make head nor tail of it, to be honest. It's not my cup of tea, really, Mares Novices Hurdles. I was interested in the money for Glens of Antrim, if truth be told, because that has been well backed all week. She's a maiden, but they're clearly expecting a lot better from her. I don't think the fact that John Joe O'Neill is riding her rather than Mark Walsh is any negative at all. And I think she'll run well, but it's not a race I've really studied too closely. I'd be quite happy to sit and put my kettle on and watch this one.
Of course, Concertista was a maiden when winning this race last year, so it can be done for connections. And looking at the rest, I was a bit flabbergasted by the price of Magic Days, who got in a speed duel over 2.5 behind Gaillard de Maynil. Last time out, bolted up by 9 lengths. De Bromhead is in fantastic form, and I think it's about
14-1.
14-1.
But it's a hell of a mare's hurdle. 6-1 the field. Willie Mullins has won all 5 of them, and he's got 4 running in the race. Hook Up the shortest 11-2. Best back today's Glens of Antrim. And Paul Townend has obviously picked Gul Wiles, who's 7-1, and so probably Point of Valour probably win the outside because he has won with a 50-1 chance as well. So really good betting race, but very, very hard to know where to go. Interesting, I see the Race Post Spotlight. I'm not sure who wrote today. He's put up Perfect Myth, 40-1, trained by Neil King, ridden by Harry Skelton. Made a good case for it, saying bombed on heavy ground last time, got great good ground form. 20-1 in fact.
Chris Wilson. Right?
Chris Wilson.
That's
Love that. We would take that all day. I can promise you if that could happen.
And 4 places on the race as well with Coral. So that's the Mares Novices Hurdle. 1 race to go then on Thursday of the Cheltenham Festival. And again, it is a fiendishly difficult one. It is the Kim Muir course this year. Very different with professional riders in the saddle. And Mount Ida is narrow favourite, 7-1. Hold the Note, 15-2. Disha Arbor, I apologise for the pronunciation of that, 8-1. Plan of Attack is 8. Shantu Flyer, 10s. Musical Slave, 12s. Kill, Film Cross, 14s bar those. And plenty of others besides. And again, another race with some very unexposed and well-handicapped horses, and some well-handicapped horses and some unexposed ones. It is a very tough race, but you've been banging on about one in this race.
Yeah, the unexposed horses. I think Shanty Flyer is an absolute nap of a bet here. He's got an absolute great chance. He's got so much good Cheltenham form, and he's finished in the first 4 5 times in handicaps from marks of 149 to 156 in the first 3 in those. In the first 2 for 4 of those. And was beaten a neck by Q-Star Civil in the Ultimate in 2018 of 152. Went up to 157. Spent 2 years running in Hunter Chases for new owner David Maxwell to ride. Won most of them, apart from the 2 Fox Hunters he ran in when he finished 2nd and 3rd. Then reappeared for Paul Nichols's with a mark of 137, having dropped £20, having run well all the time. Has had two fine runs at Wincanton, finishing 4th and 2nd. Went down £1 for the first, went up 5. Trainer appealed the handicap mark, got £1 back. So he's off a mark of 140 now, which is just way too low for his ability. I don't care that he's 11 years old.
£12 lower than when he was 2nd in the
exactly. The last horse I remember being complained about the handicap mark was Damned Company last year. Nikki Henderson going and getting another couple of pounds off her back before she won the Coral Cup. He's just going to run well. And of course, Angus Chalada, who's rode him at Wincanton, is now off, and Harry Cobden's on. He's just going to run really, really well, isn't he? And you can get 5 and 6 places here, and he ain't going to finish out of them, is he?
I get the feeling if Shantu Fly wins, you're going to put my
kettle on
cheering to shame.
It's simple.
So Shantu Fly then, in the Getting Out Stakes on Thursday. Tom, do you have a confident selection as much as Paul?
No, of course not. No one can have
That's all about Shantu Fly.
I've backed 14 losers so far, but this is going to be the one. It'll be 20 by then.
20 by then, yeah. Well, to further your point, Keels, the horse back in 3rd when he won the Ultima, when he was 2nd in the Ultima, Vintage Clouds. We see what.
Well, there you go. Yeah, great piece of form. And the horses that were entered that I thought might beat him, time to get up being one of them. They're not in it. Yeah, he's just going to win.
I think the big danger is the sneaky Foster horse, Mount Ida. I think she's just getting better. I think she could be a proper horse. She's been running in graded races. She beat a really good one over 2 miles at the start of the season, then bumped into Cool Reevy, who's going to be favourite or just about favourite for the Mares Novices Chase. The thing about her is she's going to love the trip. I have no doubts about it. She's going to improve mass. She's a half sister to Sizing Tennessee, who won the Ladbrokes Trophy. All she's ever done is finish her races off well. Now, whether she can give weight to a rock hard stayer like Cook Heels is Shantu Flyer is a different kettle of fish, but I think she's a really good mare. She beat Scarlet and Dove over 2 miles 2 starts ago, and Scarlet and Dove has won 2 grade 2 since. I just think she's just going to run a big race. And this looks like it's been sort of the ex-Gordon Elliott sort of plot type horse to me, and I think she's going to run well, but I think everyone else has spotted that too because she's top of the market now.
She's been very well backed, 6-1. So Mount Ida and Plan of Attack today. Rachel Blackmore, Henry de Bromhead on Plan of Attack, and Mount Ida have been really well backed today. Again, just focusing on the Irish horses because they've been running so well and dominating. I thought Storm Control could run well. Probably were too far at Warwick last time. Loves Cheltenham. Again, that Cheltenham angle, 18-1 each way with Shantu Flyer. Forecast.
Yeah, and there's a couple. I mean, I quite like Milanford for Nick Mitchell, who's Lieutenant Rocco, Mr. Kealy thought was a certainty before being pulled
Well, it was
out.
a certainty. I mean, I'd be sitting on such a good bet, I would, because I had 25's double that, and Shantou Flyer. He only had to get round to win that race the other day. But no, he's got that's not a bad horse, Milanford. That Doncaster form that you're about to tell people about was pretty good.
Yeah, second to Hurricane Harvey in a really good time, and he got in a speed draw last time out. Novice, handicap debut, prominent runner, looks well handicapped. And the other one was Hold the Note, who's been running against happy-go-lucky Next Destination, Shamblu, Imperial Aura, third last year at the festival. So, again, festival form. This is a red-hot race, and second time wind up as well.
I would also throw in actually Sizing at Midnight for the Tizard team, who have had a tough old season. Horses running a lot better. This horse wants good ground. It was heavy last time when he ran for the first time in a while, having fallen, I think, in the Badger Beer when looking like he might have won it. He's the sort of horse who could just suddenly pop up at a big price, 28-1 with us.
OK, picks in this final race then. Tom?
What did I say? I can't remember. Mount Ida.
Yes.
Mount Ida it is. And Nap of the Week?
Let me think. Shantou Flyer.
Shantou Flyer could well be it. Simon?
Yeah, Storm Control and Sizing Midnight. I'll have 2 in that race.
OK, and I'll go for Milanford and Hold the Note then for a red-hot Thursday at the Cheltenham Festival. Before we wrap up, naps of the day. Paul, any idea?
Let me have another think. Yeah, Shantou Flyer.
Could well be Shantou Flyer. We're just going to play that clip on repeat if it does win. Tom, nap of day 3?
Got anything but Shantou Flyer.
You'll never hear the end of it.
I'll go for the one in the... I'll take a flyer at that one in the big price in the per temp, Storm Goddess.
OK, Storm Goddess. And because I've been emboldened by everyone disagreeing with me, I will go with Allaho in the Ryanair. Simon?
Old Grangewood in the plate for Dan Skelton. This would make quite a Yankee.
It would, absolutely, absolutely. So, naps of the day. Good luck with your naps of the day as well. We've had plenty of winners in the comments. And do remember, gamble responsibly, gamble safely. Again, this is meant to be fun, so bet within your means. Thank you ever so much. We've got one more to go as we preview Friday's action tomorrow night. Let's see if we have any more winners. Let's see if we've got any energy left as well as we get ready for Thursday at the Cheltenham Festival. Have a good one.